Hare Krishna, everyone. So we will continue our discussion on Bhagavad Gita, Chapter 5. Before we start, let's recite Mangalacharan. Om Ajnana-timirandhasya Jnananjana-shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Soyam Rupah Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutah Padkamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamscha Gamam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Desha Tarine He Krishna Karuna Sindho Deenabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानु सुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे श्रीमद् भगवद गीता की जय जगत गुरु श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय all right so we will resume with chapter 5 of Bhagavad Gita. So in chapter 5 it begins with Arjuna asking a question whether to perform Nishkama Karma Yoga, of course, with Nishkama, no attachment to the results, or take up Karma Sannyasa, not even perform actions, let alone not be attached to the results. If there is no action, then there will be no results. So it is like, nip it in the bud, so to say. So these are the two things Arjun is confused about, and Lord Krishna is basically saying that performing action is better, and of course being detached from the results, but performing action is better. But he inserts a but, and he says that actually, if you think about it carefully, then Nishkama Karma Yoga and Karma Sannyasa is taking sannyas from karma itself, which means giving up action itself. They are not very different. Externally, they may appear to be different. In one, there is no action at all. And in Nishkama Karma Yoga, there is action, but what is internal is what matters more. And internally, they are both the same because action is only external. And when one is performing action without any desire for enjoying the results, then internally one is situated in the same place or in the same consciousness as someone who is in the consciousness of karma sannyasa, which means he does not even care or intend to perform any actions. So the intent is, or the consciousness is the same in both. And then Lord Krishna also says that even for a karma sannyasi, one who has and is situated in jnana, that karma sannyasa is directly correlated with jnana or pursuance of jnana yoga, by the way. So even such a person has to perform some action, and it is not possible to live or even survive in this body without some action. And examples are given like blinking the eyelids. That is also action. So how will you um, live in the body, or smelling or breathing or eating, or so many things that one does for very, very, very basic maintenance of the body also constitutes as action. So it is not possible to live without action, and therefore don't worry about the externals, whether to do action, whether to not do action. Internally, they are both the same. So let us focus on the internal and let us not get too entangled in the difference between the two, because internally they are the same. So that is Lord Krishna's message. And in 5.10, so that is a large part of the focus of the discussion so far was detachment from the externals, whether it is the results or the action itself. So both are external. The action also appears to be external, and of course the result is also external, which we all as normal people want to enjoy. So internal detachment has been the focus. Now in 5.10, I think we covered this last time, but very quickly, Lord Krishna also introduces brahmanyadhaya karmani, that not only it is about external detachment, sangam tyaktva karoti yah. So the focus, he adds another aspect, which is a positive purpose. Sangam tyaktva is a negative purpose, that I do not want to enjoy the results, or I am not attached to the results. That is a negative purpose. The positive purpose is to do it for someone or for something positive, and that is being introduced here in the 5th chapter, Brahmanya Adhaya. It has been introduced earlier also, but in 5th chapter it is coming first time, that to do action or to do whether you're doing karma sannyasa or nishkama karma yoga, internal consciousness should be that I am doing it for the absolute truth. So brahmanya adhaya karmani. So that is coming up in 5.10. So now we will start today's discussion, 5.11. So now, so far, 5 till 5.10, it was sort of a logical breakpoint last time. Lord Krishna was describing the internal consciousness, and that the internal consciousness is the same in both. And also Lord Krishna said, who is a false jnani or a false sannyasi is that externally he has given up, internally he is still contemplating, internally he is still enjoying or thinking about enjoying. Then such a person is anyway a false sannyasi. Now he does a comparison of a true and a false karma yogi or a nishkama karma yogi. So he was talking about the consciousness of a jnani or a karma sannyasi. A slight change is happening now to the analysis of a karma yogi. That's all that is happening. So from karma sannyasi, we are moving to the discussion of a karma yogi in these verses. Okay. So कायेन मनसा बुद्धया केवलैरिन्द्रियैरपि योगिनः कर्म कुर्वन्ति संगम त्यक्त्वात्मशुद्धये. So the yogis, abandoning attachment, act with body, mind and intelligence and even with the senses only for the purpose of purification. So what is the Karma Yogi doing? A true Karma Yogi is internally detached, but externally he is performing some actions. That is a Nishkama Karma Yogi. A Karma Sannyasi will cease all activities externally also. Very minimal. We will see that towards the end of chapter 5 today. But even the the consciousness of the Karma Yogi is that even that the external actions that are being performed are for Atma Shuddhi. Sangam Tyaktva, he has no attachment. He has given up all attachment to the results. Sangam Tyaktva. Atma Shuddhaye. And the reason why he is doing it is for internal purification. In the Karma Sannyasi case, it was for, what was the reason? Brahmanyadhaya. So for the Brahman. So that is the slight difference, that one is doing it for internal purification. A Jnani has a very clear objective of the Brahman. So through the Jnana Yoga, he has understood who is Brahman, and he is doing it for the sake of attaining Brahman, Brahmanyadhaya, or to get shelter of the Brahman. In this case, it is for Atma Shuddhi, or for self-purification in a spiritual sense. So in that sense, a Nishkama Karma Yogi has a little bit of a vague sense of his spiritual destination. A Jnana Yogi has a better sense of his spiritual destination. So that is 5.11. Okay. So yeah, there are some more points. So a true Karma Yogi, and this is coming in 5.12. Have I written 5.12 anywhere? No. Oh, I'm not sharing my screen.
Yes.
Sorry. Okay. So 5.12 is, the steadily devoted soul attains unadulterated peace because he offers the result of all activities to me. Whereas a person who is not in union with the divine, who is greedy for the fruits of labor becomes entangled. So what is happening? That a true Karma Yogi who is engaged. So first of all is that he is engaged, yukta. So the first word itself is yukta, he is engaged. Karma phalam tyaktva, but he's not engaged for enjoying the karma phala. He is detached from the desire to enjoy karma phala. So he's karma phala tyaktva. And shantim apnoti naishtakim. So such a person attains shantim apnoti, eternal peace. Naishtiki means eternal, or the peace that once it sits. Naishtiki means it is firmly situated. Once it sits, it never leaves. So naishtiki. So he is situated in eternal peace and happiness. Whereas somebody who is ayukta, now the false, the second line or the third A, B, C, D, 4 parts of a verse. So the C and D part are talking about this false karma yogi. There's a spelling mistake. It should be karma. I'll fix that. False karma yogi. Can you make a note? False karma yogi. He's ayukta. So he's not properly engaged. Okay. And karma karena. So he is doing activities for, not karma karena, sorry, kama karena. So he is doing it for kama, for enjoying. Karena means the cause is enjoyment. Kama karena and phale sakto. So sakta is like attached. Sakta or asakta. Asakta is detached, but sakta means attached. So phala sakta. So he's attached to the fruits. The result is nibadhyate, that he becomes entangled to the material cycle of birth and death and all the duality, likes and dislikes, pleasures and pains, and so on. So this is the comparison. 5.12 is the comparison between a true karma yogi and a false karma yogi. And the main difference is one is properly engaged, yukta, versus ayukta. And when one is or whether one is attached to the fruits of the activity, or one is detached. So again, talking about attachment and detachment. Okay, now from 13 to 16 is a very technical topic, or 13 to 15, 13, 14, 15. So so today's class is a little technical, okay? So bear with me. And I also took a very long time to revise chapter 5. Chapter 5 is a hard chapter if you get into the nitty-gritties and the details. So I am going to explain. We have the time and we'll go through the whole thing, but it is a little technical, so bear with me. Yes, Govind Vilas Prabhu. Did you have a question or by mistake? Okay, probably by mistake. Am I audible? Yes. Shalu Mataji?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay, and slides are visible?
Yes.
Okay, great. So from 13 to 15, in 3 verses, Lord Krishna is going to describe a very important concept. And this concept will be dealt with in more detail when we study Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu, or Nectar of Devotion, as part of Bhakti Shastri. The classes will be open to the public. So, but there we will do a much deeper treatment of this topic. But what is the reason, or what's the theory of jiva's entanglement? So when we say that the jiva is entangled, and that is why he is having this desire to enjoy the fruits of the material world, then the question becomes that because he wants to enjoy the fruits of the material world, he continues to remain entangled. So it's a vicious circle. How to break this circle? How to get out of this? What is the cause of the jiva's entanglement in the first place? That whole analysis is presented in these 3 verses in very brief. So Bhagavad Gita is a concise text. So this whole theory of entanglement of the jiva is present in these 3 verses. Okay. So let's go through these verses. Okay, we are on 13. So the first 3 lines are talking about a very straightforward aspect. Sarva karmani manasa sanyasya aste sukham vashi navadvare pure dehi naiva kurvan nakarayan. So, when the embodied living being controls his nature and mentally renounces all actions, he resides happily in the city of 9 gates. So the city of 9 gates is the material body because it has 9 holes. You can count and you will see that this is referring to the material body. And who is living in this material body, in this city of 9 gates? There is a Dehi. So you will see in the 3rd line, there is Navadware Pure Dehi. So the Dehi is the soul. In the 2nd chapter also, we had encountered this word Dehi. Yatho, what's that? Dehi asmin yatha dehe. So Dehi no asmin yatha dehe. So the Dehi is living in the Deha. So Dehi is referring to the soul. So this soul who is living in the body, naiva kurvan na karayan. So this is the main point that is being brought out here, that this soul is not the doer, naiva kurvan na karayan, and is neither the cause of activities. So the soul is always pure, but we will see it has been covered. But the soul itself cannot be considered to be the cause of activities or the doer either. The body is the doer, not the soul, and the body includes mind and intelligence as well. So the body is the doer. What is the cause? We will see. So this jiva in the next verse says the embodied spirit, master of the city of his body, does not create activities, nor does he induce people to act, nor does he create the fruits of action. All this is enacted by the material modes of nature. So the jiva, the living entity, which is called as Prabhu, Prabhu means the master of this body or this city of nine gates. He's the resident, but he's the owner as well. So he's the owner resident of this body. That is why it is called Prabhu. Is not the cause of the doership. So as it is mentioned in 9.14 as well, does not create activities, nor does he induce people to act, nor does he create the fruit of action. So he's not responsible for this jiva is not responsible for the activity or the results. What is the cause then? The cause is svabhavastu pravartate, the swabhava. So the past conditioning due to one's association with the material modes, that is swabhava, that is the cause. So the cause is coming from the conditioning that one has obtained through many, many past lives. And due to that conditioning, one performs certain activities, and the consequences of those activities are enforced by the law of karma. Now, in the next verse, in 15, what is being said? Now, one can ask, okay, God is the enforcer, the creator and enforcer of the law of karma. So, the question can become that whether God is the cause. So, in the next verse, even God is not called the cause. Na adatte kasyachit papam na chaiva sukritam vibhu. So vibhu means the Supreme Lord. Ajnanena avritam jnanam. Okay, so now the real cause is being revealed, but God is also not the cause. He is just the creator and the enforcer of the law of karma. So just like a criminal cannot say that the police is the cause of my suffering if the police has caught the criminal and put him into the jail. So, or the police or the government or the king or president, whoever. So there is a law of karma, and the law of karma is being enforced. But it was the criminal's choice to commit a crime, and then he got entangled in this law of karma and he got into jail. So it is not correct for the criminal to claim that the creator or the enforcer of the law is the cause of my suffering. If he looks little further, he will see a lot of people happy and enjoying. So if the law of karma or the creator of the law of karma is the cause of my suffering, how is the other guy enjoying? If the law of karma is the same for everyone, which it is, then why are some people suffering and some people enjoying? Then when you argue like this, you will say, aha, I violated the law of karma and therefore I am suffering. Somebody else exploited the law of karma and therefore he's enjoying. Exploiting the law of karma means what? Committing punya or pious activities. You know that if you commit pious activities, you will get back uh, more in return. So that is like exploiting or taking advantage of the law of karma. So law of karma or the creator of the law of karma or the enforcer of law of karma, who are the demigods, Yamaraj, for example, cannot be called as the cause of one's suffering. So ultimately, the conditioned living entity, it is the conditioning which is the cause. And what is this conditioning? One can ask. What is the cause of the conditioning? How did I get conditioned? That answer is given in the next two lines. ajnanena avritam jnanam. So the living entity is full of jnana. Okay, the living entity is called Sat Chid Ananda. So this Sat potency is representing jnana. So he is having the jnana, but gets covered with ajnana, avritam. So avritam, ajnana, avritam jnanam. So which means it is covered, the jnana becomes covered with ajnana. Or it is another very common name used in the Vedic texts to describe this is avidya. So ajnana or avidya, and this is a very big topic to be dealt with in a few minutes. But this avidya or ajnana is what covers the true jnana of the jiva, and that starts the process of conditioning. So what that means is to treat the false to be true or to forget the true. So basically, in practical terms, what does it mean? It means that finding happiness in the wrong places, trying to be happy by material means, trying to find happiness in material things like money, or even to a large extent, material relationships. Even if the relationship may be very good between two people, it will still come to an end. The biggest, or not biggest, but the most certain flaw with material relationship is what? The most certain flaw. Can anybody tell?
That they end.
Very good. Very good. So material relationships may be very good, you know. So a toxic relationship is not a very certain characteristic of a material relationship. It may be a common characteristic. Many relationships are toxic, you know, or whatever, problematic. But a certain characteristic is temporariness, because all material relationships will end with the body. Next life, you never know. You know, the father can become the son can become the father, or they become enemies, or who knows what. So treating those things to be the truth and trying to find happiness in those things, whether they are material, money, I mean, or relationships, or whatever pleasures that one may have in this material world, and to realize that ultimately they bring suffering. So that is the ajnana that is covering us, and we continue to seek happiness on and on and on through uh, through these false sources. And when one tastes, so I have the next slide to cover that. How to get freed from this entanglement. So that is covered in 5.16. Yes, Shrikar Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. So I had two questions on this, like this section of verses. One question is, how can we differentiate between free will and modes of material nature? Yeah, I think that sums up the question. Like when I perform an action, I can sort of blame it on, oh, like this was influenced by the three modes. But how do I know whether this is my free will or the three modes?
No, free will is influenced by the three modes. What's the confusion? You have free will, but you have free will which is conditioned. Free will means you are the decider, or you are the chooser. The choice you make is based on your conditioning. So free means you're not like every time you're not like tossing a coin. That is not the meaning of free will. Free will means you have the choice in your hands, but every time it's not a completely random choice. Like every time I go to a program, it's not like one day I will eat gulab jamun, another day I will eat what's a sweet that I don't like. I don't know, sabudana kheer, let's say, I will consistently choose gulab jamun.
Gulab jamun.
But it's still I have a free choice, so I have a free will. But I'm conditioned to gulab jamun, so I will always choose that. I hope you see the difference.
Yeah, but sure, like it's my free will, and it's like basically the modes of material nature sort of change the weights of your actions that you possibly take. But how can the issue that arises is that sometimes you get like you can just blame it on the modes of material nature, basically. Like there can be like, oh, my bad actions of sense gratification were because I was engaged, like because of three modes.
That's just being a irresponsible. Not much more to it.
Sure, but how do we, if it's always influenced by the three modes, then how is there any free will, basically? Like how is there any, yeah, what is the decide, like basically, yeah.
Prabhuji, do you want sabudana kheer or gulab jamun? I have a free will in that instant. No, I mean, what's
Yeah,
not?
but the three modes of nature are affecting your choice there because you enjoy more sense gratification when you pick the gulab jamun. So you're like, oh, I want to,
Free to
and
choose the
then
other one fine day, I can say that, okay, let me actually try this. Or let's say if a very nice cook, Bhakti Ras Mataji, if she has cooked sabudana kheer, maybe like, okay, you know what? This is the one time if I have to try sabudana kheer, today is the day. Because she's a really good cook and, mm, if I want to, yeah, I mean, I'm just making up story, but
no, but that could be the mode of material nature and the mode of goodness or
I think
something.
we're over analyzing at this point. So
Okay.
we have a free will. And what guides our free, now this is a kind of a very simple example, one sweet versus another, but intelligence guides the free will. If I have diabetes and I'm being offered sweet, then I must use my intelligence that, I will still want to. My conditioning says eat the gulab jamun, but intelligence says that, dude, if you've already had gulab jamun yesterday and the day before, today you must skip. Otherwise, you'll land in trouble. So there is that difference. So intelligence is the one that helps to counter it.
Okay.
Between A and B, it may sound like, okay, it was a silly example, but those are not the choices that are the most important choices in our life. More important choices are like the one I later said, whether to eat the gulab jamun or not,
Yeah.
or in that direction.
Right. Okay.
Even more serious things like, I don't know, when you are doing your Bhagavad Gita or Bhagavatam study or Bhakti Shastri, keep your phone in do not disturb mode or keep it away. It's a very hard thing to do because once notification comes, I was reading in some newspaper or not newspaper, some news article, some statistics study has been done. Any notification that you think will take 30 seconds ends up taking 25 minutes.
Yeah.
Done some study. I mean, that's an awful lot of waste of time. So when you are doing your studies, you are a student. No, you're not a student anymore. Anyway, you should keep your phone away in a different room.
Right.
Do you have the free will to do that? For many people, it's extremely hard.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Thank you. My second question is there is there any specifics on like specifically like karma and how that like is there some sort of scripture that talks about like the laws of karma in more detail? For example, if I perform action A, I get this amount of pious. Or like if I have the intention of doing something good out of the sake of doing good versus
Lot of scriptures talk about it.
okay.
But I can point you to my very dear Hari Parshad Prabhu is
Yeah.
conducting this new series called Shikshashtakam. And very recently, the set of lectures that were conducted were on they did a very in-depth discussion on this whole
Oh,
karma and all. I would suggest you go through them, and I wouldn't be able to come up with anything deeper than that.
right. Okay.
Probably as deep as we have access to. And
Right.
he has tons and tons of references, as you know. And those
Yeah.
references can lead you to more next level, you know, um, um, depths. Okay.
Sure. Yeah. Thank you, Prabhu. Yeah, I'll catch up on that.
Hmm? You're muted. Sorry, Ragatmika Mataji. Rajvidya.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Hare Krishna Prabhuji. So this soul, when it transfers from one body to another, how does the conditioning go with it? Because
Because
only
the
the
only the gross body is left behind. The conditioning is traveling along with the mind, intelligence, and ahankar. The man, buddhi, ahankar, in some subtle form, they go along, they carry the soul to the next body. And along with that, the conditioning is carried.
okay.
Okay. If the soul is completely de-entangled from these, then that is the state of liberation. Then it will not go into another body, it will go out of this material world.
Right. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Okay. Okay. So now 5.6. Yes, Ram Prabhu.
Sorry, yeah. Namaste ji. So the same question, Srika's question, I have a question on that. Like you said, the conditioning is one thing, and then you have a free will, right? But when you say, and when you talk about conditioning, you say
They're
intelligence
not
is
alternatives. It's not like there is apple and there is orange. I mean, conditioning and okay, go ahead, ask your. They're not two alternatives or two options. Conditioning influences your choices that you can make because you have free will. That would be the full sentence.
right. So, but isn't intelligence, well, you say we can
Intelligence
use
also
our
influences
intelligence
the
to
product.
overcome the conditioning, right?
Yeah,
But isn't
intelligence
intelligence
also
part of the
influences.
conditioning? Sorry.
Intelligence also influences the choices. And yes, intelligence is, I would know, again, this is over analysis, but intelligence is not usually influenced by conditioning. Every single person who is obese does not need too much intelligence to know that one should diet and exercise. Okay, so the biggest part is not the intelligence or the knowledge, it is the ability to just get up and do it, what is known as willpower. Those who smoke, and in India there is this brand of cigarette called Wills. There's this saying, Will's power is stronger than willpower. So that is the problem. It's not about the intelligence. Even a fool knows, it's written outside the cigarette packet. Cigarette smoking is injurious to health. You're like, how much more intelligent you have to be.
Okay.
You're
I tend to feel that
you
at
have
some
to
point in
analyze
time,
29,000 different arguments, and you're talking about Second Amendment, which is a very, very complex issue, whether to right to bear arms is good thing or not. Those are the complicated ones where you can say that, okay, you need the intelligence of the Supreme Court justices and very, very, to decide on very complex things. But whether to smoke or not, for 99.999% of the people, you don't need that much intelligence to do the right thing.
right. Yeah, but most of the time, you know what's the right thing to do, but it is just impossible to do it because of your
That is
condition.
what comes by practice. That is what comes by, that is what we will discuss by the act of starting with some amount of detachment or tyaga and vairagya. That is what the whole Bhagavad Gita is about.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Okay. And we say, well, very soon I will say every day, chant take the name of the Lord for 15 minutes. Do one round of Hare Krishna Mahamantra Jap. Every day, pick up the Bhagavad Gita and read 3-4 verses or 3-4 pages. That's the starting point. So if one cannot even do that, and one can binge watch, one whole season in one night from like 10 p.m. to 6 a.m., you can binge watch 8 episodes of a whole season, but you cannot read 5 pages of Bhagavad Gita, then there is no solution given anywhere. So let me tell you, if that is the solution you are looking for, you are in the wrong class. You will never get a solution through my class, at least. That solution you only have to come up with. There is no solution to that which can be given to anybody other than to, put a gun on their head and like some parents do, sit down and do the homework, and they will sit in front of the child and say, okay, you do the homework, I am watching you. Then you have to you have to hire somebody, to go to gym. Somebody has to hire a trainer. Trainer is like, what can the trainer tell? Okay, now do 10 push-ups, now do 10 this thing, now do 10 this thing. That's all the trainer tells. You can, get the trainer on first day. Why do you need him on all the days? It's basically to keep you on track. So those are the solutions. There is no other magical solution to that. Okay. The solution to that is to find a taste in it. But then the question becomes, you have to first do something to find taste, to replace it with a higher taste. So today one may have the taste for binge watching Netflix. If that taste gets converted to binge reading Srimad Bhagavatam, then your life will be successful. But you have to somehow get from this to that. And that is the hard part. For those who love going to the gym, it's a problem to stop them from going to the gym. Hey, come on, man, spend some time with me. Why you keep running to the gym always? That's how you have to tell them. So, you know, like that, how does a person who has no interest in going to the gym get to a point where he always wants to go to the gym? That is the hard transition, and it starts with slowly practicing gradually, with determination, and trying to find the taste. And that is where a guru or a guide can help a lot, but the guide has to be interested to help you. You cannot find a paid guru. You can find a paid gym trainer. You can find a paid tutor who will sit in front of you and watch that you are doing the homework and not watching social media. That's what a tutor mostly does. Doesn't really tutor you for hard concepts. He's just sitting in front, paid guy, to make sure you don't get distracted and do your homework. That's what parents mostly pay the tutors for, just like a gym trainer. So there is no paid guru, unfortunately. So you have to find somebody who is snigdha, who is interested in your benefit, and who will sit down and help you to make spiritual progress. Or you can do it yourself through some detachment, through some um, determination. Okay, I hope that helped. All right. So next, so where were we? Yeah, so in the previous slide, we talked about how the jiva gets in. Sorry, kindly keep muted. How the jiva gets entangled. And now we will see how to get freed from the entanglement. So the freedom from entanglement is to, in short, the answer is to attain jnana, or to make progress towards attaining jnana. I will unpack it, but that is the short answer. So that is how the verse number 16 begins. Jnanena tu tad ajnanam. Yesham nashitam atmanaha. So when, however, one is enlightened with the knowledge by which ajnana or nescience is destroyed, then his knowledge reveals everything as the sun lights up everything in daytime. Tesham adityavaj jnanam prakashayati tat param. So what does it do? Prakashayati means it reveals or it brings to light. Tat param, the supreme absolute truth, is brought to light. So this covering process, so that is what I have said in this last one. The revelation, the result is revelation of the supreme Brahman, prakashayati tat param. So this covering process also occurred over a long period of time. We don't remember it, but this has been going on for millions and zillions of lifetimes, and we don't want to go back into the history. We don't even know the history. We cannot know the history. But here we are. The main point to understand is that the process of obtaining jnana also needs to occur over a long period of time. So it will take time. We are so attached to instant results. We are in the age of ibuprofen and Tylenol. If you have headache or whatever, and you pop in a Tylenol, headache goes. Let's say if your headache was because of binge watching, and you didn't sleep properly, the Vedic remedy or the natural remedy is to get proper sleep. But if you are conditioned to bad habits, it will take time to remedy those habits, bad habits. But that is the best solution and the natural solution. Yes, you can keep taking some ibuprofen and then you will get stomach ulcers very soon. So it is not a permanent solution. It's a very, very once in a while solution. Then it is okay. But what we are accustomed to is to convert once in a while solutions to permanent solutions and instant results. The process of jnana, unfortunately, is not like that. Even bhakti, which we will talk about shortly, is also not like that. So we have to start, and that is why one has to have serious interest in this process. How that interest comes? By getting disgusted. If you binge watch, I'm just using that as an example, too many times in a week, one day you may realize all these are one and the same stories. What did I really benefit by that temporary pleasure? And I am getting sick. My whole day is ruined. I cannot focus on my work. There are so many things. Maybe while you are driving, you may end up in an accident because you were not paying attention. So many consequences. So when you get disgusted with this uh, sense gratification and this entanglement, then there is a more genuine desire, or just like in the case of eating too much or not exercising, when you get a heart attack because of it or whatever, then, or a wake up call like that, then you become serious. One becomes serious about things. So a true desire for getting freed from these entanglement somehow has to occur. So that is the um, beginning point. Another way to realize this is to look at others and wake up before it happens to you. And there are enough examples around us. Now, that also requires some intelligence, some sense of discrimination, and thinking that if it could happen to him, it could happen to me. Sometimes this is called Smashan vairagya. When you see a dead person, then you realize your own mortality. But the problem with Smashan vairagya is that it easy come, easy go. It leaves as soon as it arrives, or it leaves as quickly as it had arrived. So somehow we must retain it and generate that desire and set up a system around it, that I really want to make spiritual progress. Okay, I know my want is very weak. It will not sustain. While I am having the desire, let me create a system around it. Find somebody whose help you can take, or set up the time, or join a course, or take a commitment that I want to read 3 pages or this one, or find an interesting book. There are many things that can be possible. But to start this spiritual practice, one has to create some kind of a discipline. And that is what is the process of austerity and sacrifice. Discipline is never easy. It is always austere and it requires some sacrifice. Another name for discipline is austerity and sacrifice. You all know that. To learn the truth. And from somebody who can teach it from the perfect source. So that is what also I was talking about. And then the absolute truth over a long period of time is revealed to us. So whatever I am describing is nothing else but the core process of Jnana Yoga, which we had covered in chapter 4. I have given the reference to verse numbers 25 to 35, and you can go through that. And please remember, this process could span multiple lifetimes. Like I said earlier, this process, the process of getting ajnana or avidya, did not happen overnight. So to remove that also will not happen overnight, but we have to start right now. And the human life is the only life when it can be started. You cannot start it in a dog's life. And in 6th chapter, we will see that if you sincerely make progress in this human life, next life is human guaranteed. So it's like your what game you have? I don't know. I used to play billiards, I will say, but if you make some point, you get another free shot. You keep making points, you get free shot. So each shot is 2 points, but you can make 200 points if you want without the opponent even getting a chance. It's because each time you make a point, you get another shot. Like I think carom board also has the same rule, is it? I don't know. Or some card games have this thing that if you make a point, you can throw again, throw the dice again, or whatever. I don't know. That is how it works in spiritual life. That if you have made enough progress, as a human only you can make progress. You cannot make progress as a dog. And if you make good, sincere progress, then next human life is guaranteed. That's such a good thing. So even if you cannot finish in this life, you don't have to go through dog and cat and fish and rat in the middle. Next life itself is human, then again human, again. And not only next life is human, Lord Krishna will arrange that you will start your spiritual practice in next life from where you left off. He will give you birth in a family where you will have all the resources. The parents will be dharmic, they will give you this knowledge. The situation will be completely set up to make you start from where you left off. Okay, like I think in golf or something, when you can leave the game halfway and pick it up next day or something like that. So like that is it is there. So this process could span multiple lifetimes, and that is what is said in 6.45. It says that after this process of many lives, what's the word that is used there? Aneka janma samsiddhas tato yati param gatim. So aneka janma, it could take many lifetimes. Okay. Yes, Pragati Mataji. Are you muted still?
Yes, I unmuted now. Hare Krishna. So I have a question. Like, since birth, as a human, we are conditioned to be attached in our relations, and then how, while studying spirituality, we are now learning to be detached. So it makes it more harder to first to understand the concept, and why are we conditioned to be attached first, and now we are learning to be detached from the same relationships?
No, I didn't understand the question. That you're conditioned to the relationships, to be attached to the relationships. Give me one example, like to your maybe children or family
And
members.
yeah,
Is
right,
that
right.
what
And
you're talking about?
right. Since birth, we are like conditioned to be attached to our parents. And then we are conditioned to seeing our parents like they're attached to each
That is,
other.
yeah, so that attachment to parents, the question is it coming in the way of spiritual progress? Okay, everybody, even the devotees have relationships. Arjuna, to whom Bhagavad Gita is being spoken, also has a wife. In fact, he has
Mhm.
two wives, Draupadi and Subhadra. Abhimanyu is the son of Subhadra and Arjun. So, Lord Krishna is not telling him to get a divorce, because Draupadi, Subhadra, they are all very, very supportive of Arjuna in his spiritual life. So the point is, like I said earlier, one has to be very, carefully. One has to listen, and this is where Bhagavad Gita is hard, or is difficult, or spiritual knowledge is, because one has to be very careful and listen scrutinizingly. The point is that one has to realize that the relationships are the only problem, or the certain problem with relationships is that they are temporary. But some relationships could be toxic as well. Now, let us say that there is a toxic relationship, and that is getting in the way of your making spiritual progress. Then that is not something that everybody is given by default. Everybody is given a parent or two parents by default, but not everybody is given toxic parents. Now, that could be due to some past karma, like just like saying that somebody is born with some deformities, somebody is born blind, somebody is born in a poor family, somebody is this or that or that. But just having parents or having other relationships in one's life is not a uh, handicap to making spiritual progress at all. And they would not be problematic if they support your spiritual progress.
So it is just a detachment from the actions, not the people around you or things happening around you.
Say that again. So detachment
So
from actions.
from the actions you have performed, you should be detached from the results of the actions, and not the relations and things around us.
I'll give another example. Let us say a grandfather, typically they are very attached to their grandchildren. Now,
Mhm.
everybody knows that one has spent his whole life earning money, or in the childhood one has to study. As a adult, you have to earn money, have savings, etc. Then one postpones spiritual progress to, okay, when I will become little older, retired life. Then grandchildren arrive. Then one forgets that I had said that when I will become older, then I will make spiritual progress. One becomes attached to the grandchildren. Now, it's not a problem to have grandchildren. Obviously, your children will have children and they are your grandchildren. But to just spend from morning till night, 16 hours a day, just playing with grandchildren or whatever, thinking about them, even if they have gone to school, just the whole consciousness is invested in that relationship.
Mhm.
It's not necessary. One has to say that, okay, 4, 5, 6 hours in the day, I will devote to my spiritual life. Let somebody else, the parents, take care of the child. I will not just invest all my consciousness in this, just my relationship. reading various stupid stories, Harry Potter, so that you can narrate it to the grandchild, going and shopping and doing this, searching for the perfect toys or the perfect. There are 200 ways in which you can spend your time.
Mhm.
So then that is called over investment in a relationship. So that too much attachment is also a problem.
Understood.
So somewhere one has to draw the line and say enough is enough. And I have to take care of my own spiritual life as well. And spiritual life does not mean 18-hour investment per day. Very, very high quality spiritual life for a very long time. I'm just giving you a time frame example, can be done with, let us say, 5 to 6 hours per day. I'm giving you a number. How many hours per day does that leave you with? Let us say 6 hours. It still leaves you with 18 hours.
Mhm.
8 hours you sleep. It still leaves you with 10 hours to do whatever you want. Go hug your grandchild, go buy toys for him, brush your teeth, make phone calls to your friends. If you are a retired person, you must devote minimum 6 hours per day of very strong um, spiritual practice. Minimum.
Understood.
Otherwise,
Thank
then,
you.
yeah, you can say, you can come up with all kind of reasons why 24 hours are less. Then I will say thank you very much. You know, आपको भगवान ही बचाएगा.
धन्यवाद. Mm.
All right. Okay, where were we? Yeah. So we did 5.16. Okay, 5.17. So 5.17 is telling us the result of Jnana Yoga. I'm a little bit lost in my chain of thought, so I'll take a minute to regain it. So how did we come here? So we came here through the theory of jiva's entanglement, and then how to get freed from that entanglement. And then we are going into a new section, yeah, of result of Jnana Yoga. And yeah, so yeah. So a very important concept is coming up. So first, let us deal with what is the result of Jnana Yoga. So this verse is tad buddhayas tad atmanam tad atmanas tad nishthas tad parayanah gacchanti apunaravrittim jnana nirdhuta kalmashah. Yeah. So there are two results of following the spiritual path. Now, by the way, we are focusing on Jnana Yoga because we are in the first, you can say, trimester or whatever you can call, first 1/3 of the Bhagavad Gita, which contains Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, and Dhyana Yoga. Then rest of Bhagavad Gita is Bhakti Yoga, and I will introduce that point that whatever we are reading is not the final recommendation of Krishna. So the final recommendation of Krishna is to do Bhakti, and all the results of Jnana Yoga are available through Bhakti. So ultimately, we have to follow the path of Bhakti, Bhakti Marg, not Jnana Marg. But the learnings from Jnana Marg are very much useful to make our Bhakti more strong or more focused, more effective. So that is the reason why, for those who want to follow the Bhakti Marg, getting the understanding of Gyan Marg is important because it helps in making our Bhakti more effective. But as such, following Gyan Marg is not the recommendation of Lord Krishna in Bhagavad Gita, as we will see in the all throughout the later chapters. So again, coming back to Jnana Yoga, it gives us relief from sinful actions. Nirdhuta kalmashaha. So one nirdhuta means one is washed away from the, all the dirt of what? Kalmashaha, all the sinful reactions that are waiting to manifest. And the second result is gacchanti apunaravrittim. This apunaravrittim is a very important word in Vedic texts. Apunar avritti. Avritti means to come back. Punar means again. So again coming back. So which means punaravritti means to come back again and again. Apunaravritti means to never come back again. So basically, gacchanti apunaravrittim, going to a place where from where there is no return. So which means going to the spiritual world or getting moksha, so that you don't come back, keep coming back into bodies in this material world. So that is the other result of any spiritual path. It is mentioned for Jnana Yoga as well. And Jnana Yoga is being summarized here in 4 steps, not 4 steps, but 4 aspects, that it is performed by focusing something on the Brahman. So focus on the Supreme Brahman is a core aspect of Jnana Yoga. What all is being said? Buddhayah, tad buddhayah, atmanah, mind, nishtha, tan nishtha, and tat parayanah. So one's faith and one's shelter. So focus everything on the absolute truth. And that is the process in summary of Jnana Yoga. And then one gets nirdhuta kalmashaha and gacchanti apunaravrittim. Both these results manifest. Okay, now I am going to add this part, that all these aspects apply to bhakti as well. And even the result is available or is obtained through the process of bhakti. Just that one has to change the object of focus from Brahman to Bhagwan. Brahman is this impersonal, absolute truth, this conception. There is no form to it. It is just the realization of a superpower. Just like when you say superpower in this world, who is the superpower? People will say America is the superpower. Now, the moment you say America as a superpower, what comes in your mind? Anybody wants to say? What is America? When I say the word America, what comes to mind?
The military complex, the might.
Which one? Though that is also some abstract word. What else comes to mind? Military complex, like
The big, these floating naval ships that are almost the size of a city.
floating naval ships. Very good. That's a very clear, vivid aspect. Okay. Anybody else? Or
Capitalism.
again, that is, what do you mean by capitalism? What
Big.
comes to mind? The Wall Street, or
Sure.
maybe
Yeah.
a big mall with all the
Strength of the
latest and
dollar.
greatest gadgets?
Strength of the dollar.
That is also abstract. What do you mean strength of the dollar? I have a dollar bill. I can tear it apart into 10 pieces. There is no strength in a dollar bill. It's a piece of paper. My Bhagavad Gita is, or the cover of my Bhagavad Gita, which is made of cardboard, is stronger than the dollar. And Bhagavad Gita is
President.
okay, the president, and especially the president in the formal, when he's walking with all the secret service, he's like, like a big guy. Okay, yes, anybody else?
The Statue of Liberty and the American flag.
American flag, yeah. So these are the things that come to mind. Okay, so great, thank you. So when we say superpower, but still everybody will agree that America is a superpower, but that is abstract. So that is like the Brahman. Okay, but the visualization of that is through these aspects. And therefore, the source of that power comes from somewhere. That power doesn't just exist. That power is not the cause. The cause is something else. The cause could be well, we can say that it is the economy, but again, that is also abstract, or the military word, that is also abstract, but maybe, the number of people in the military, the the advanced weapon systems, whatever, the nuclear bombs or whatever, those are the specific things which make it strong. So they are the ones, when you add them all up, they are the giving the power to say that America is a superpower. So this word superpower is an abstraction of this something which has a form. So that is the difference between, so now Bhagwan is not just a bunch of random such things, like group of such things that you put all these things together, like economy and nuclear bombs and weapons and all that, and then it becomes a superpower. But the point being conveyed is that there is something which is more tangible that gives the sense of power. So Bhagavan is the source of the power, which one experiences as the Brahman, or this energy which is more abstract. So changing the focus from Brahman to Bhagavan is the one of the key aspects of bhakti, but the principles of focusing one's mind, intelligence, putting one's faith and shelter in Bhagavan applies in bhakti yoga as well. And we will unpack bhakti a lot more as we go through the Bhagavad Gita and then the subsequent other books as well. So that is 5.17. And then there is this very nice verse from the Srimad Bhagavatam, and which says that yat karmabhir, yat means that which can be achieved, yat means, or whatever that can be, whatever is there, whatever is the output. Yat karmabhir, yat tapasa, whatever is the output of karma, whatever is the output of tapa, jnana vairagya taschayat, whatever is the output of jnana and vairagya, yogena dana dharmena, whatever other process of yoga, dan, dharma, people say na dan dharm karna chahiye, dan punya, all those things. Shreyo bhir itarair api, whatever shreya means whatever benefit one gets out of all these things. Sarvam mad bhakti yogena mad bhagto labhate anjasa, that all of these, and Lord Krishna is speaking this is from Uddhav Gita in Srimad Bhagavatam, 11th canto, 20th verse. You can see it's right in the middle of Uddhav Gita. Lord Krishna is speaking Uddhav Gita to Uddhav ji. Lord Krishna has spoken this divine knowledge again in his life, in his presence, once to Arjun and also to Uddhav ji later on. He says all these things are available to my bhakta, mad bhakti yogena, mad bhakto, through the bhakti or bhakti yoga done by mad bhakto, labhate means they also get the same benefit, anjasa, that they not only get their benefit, they get it easily or in a much easier way. So these two verses are glorifying bhakti and putting it right at the top of the pyramid, saying that through bhakti, all the benefits are obtained of all the other processes, and that too much more easily. Also, swarga apavarga madhama, even if one wants to get the pleasures of swarga or apavarga means even higher, madhama, my abode, which is Vaikuntha, kathanchid yadi vanchati, the devotees don't want all these things, but in case, Lord is clarifying, in case they want it, that also is available. So this is the glory of bhakti. Shrikar, can you read the translation?
Sure, Prabhu. Everything that can be achieved by fruitive activities, penance, knowledge, detachment, mystic yoga, charity, religious duties, and all other means of perfecting life, is easily achieved by my devotee through loving service unto me. If somehow or other my devotee desires promotion to heaven, liberation, or residence in my abode, he easily achieves such benedictions.
Very nice. Thank you. So this is showing the superiority of bhakti, which is coming up in Bhagavad Gita, but I wanted to show it here because some people may get too much into this whole jnana process and everything and think that that is the essence of Bhagavad Gita. It is not. Okay. Then I want to introduce a very important concept, not me. Lord Krishna wants to introduce a very important concept. And I have just added a name from other scriptures to it, but the concept is the same, which is the concept of jivan mukta. Jivan mukta means, so this is the 18th verse, sorry, 17th verse. So part of the, one second, it's actually the 19th verse. So we are still in this, this should say 19. Can you fix that? 5.19 to 23. Okay. So we'll come back to the 18th verse, very important verse. We'll come back. So symptoms of an enlightened person. So who is this enlightened person? First, the point that is being made in the 19th verse is ihaiva tair jita sargo. So ihaiva, iha eva. Ihaiva means, and then it goes on to say, tasmad brahmaṇi te sthitaḥ. Therefore, one should understand that he is situated in Brahman. So ihaiva means even while he is present in the material world. He has not yet reached the spiritual world. He is still present in the material world. Okay. So the translation is those whose minds are established in sameness and equanimity have already conquered the conditions of birth and death. So when Srila Prabhupada is saying have already conquered, means that before they have died, because to go to the spiritual world, you have to die. Okay, you cannot go to spiritual world with your material body. These two are incompatible. Okay, so to go to spiritual world, you have to give up your material body, which means you have to die in that sense, and then go to the spiritual world. But a jivan mukta is one who is as good as being in the spiritual world even before his death, which means while he is in the material world. And there is no difference between such a person who is a jivan mukta and actual mukta. Mukta means one who has been liberated. But there is no difference except for one is in the material world, one is in the spiritual world. That's all. It is like a completely innocent person in jail, you can think. He may be in jail, there may be some suffering, but he in his mind is very clear. I was innocent. They may give me punishment, that's okay. In my mind, and he behaves as if he is completely, he has never committed a crime in that sense. So he is living with a sense of complete freedom, just like whether he is inside or outside, just like a person who is outside. So that is the meaning of a jivan mukta. And some of the words that we will pick on to establish this is gacchanti apunaravrittim. So actually it is from 5.17. So let it remain as 5.17. Gacchanti means goes towards, it's present tense. It's not past tense. In a future verse, we will see the word adhigacchati means he has reached. Adhigacchati, wo chala gaya hai. Long back, adhigacchati means bahut time se chala gaya. So that is the meaning of adhigacchati means he has reached. Gacchanti means going. So it means he has not reached yet. Apunaravrittim. So he is going towards that. And in the 23rd verse, we will also see prāk śarīra-vimokṣaṇāt. Prāk means before. Śarīra-vimokṣaṇāt, before giving up the body. Sharira means this material body, this skin and whatever, bones and muscle. That is Sharira. So when you have Sharira means you are in material world. It's very clear. Prāk means before, vimokṣaṇāt means getting rid of this material body. So which means that it is very clearly pointing to a jivan mukta, which means being completely self-realized even while having a material body. So that is what is being said here. Ihaiva tair jitah sargo yesham samye sthitam manaha. I'm reading 19th verse. Okay. All of you should have your Bhagavad Gita in front of you. Okay. Everybody has it? Yes. All right. Yeah. Every time those who have camera on have to show their Bhagavad Gita. Yesham samye sthitam manaha nirdosham hi samam brahma tasmad brahmaṇi te sthitaḥ. Those whose minds are established in sameness and equanimity have already conquered the conditions of birth and death. They are flawless like Brahman, and they are already situated in Brahman. Then 20th verse. Na prahsyayet priyam prapya na uddijjet prapya cha apriyam sthira buddhir asammudho brahma-vid brahmaṇi sthitaḥ. So this word brahmaṇi sthitaḥ is going to get repeated in these verses, and brahmaṇi sthitaḥ means one is situated in Brahman, or in that Brahman consciousness, or basically when consciousness is completely situated in Brahman, or one is self-realized, but he is still in the material body. That is the important thing. So one can be in the spiritual consciousness completely. This is not partially. This is not your 6 hours person and remaining 10 hours in, watching Netflix and all. This is full 24 hours person. So this is very, very advanced stage. The 6 hour was for beginners, or little bit more than beginners, who are retired or who don't have any mandatory occupation. They have enough savings, they can live with basic needs met, and now they want to spend a good amount of their life, their time, in spiritual life. So that is the 6 hour person, but this is talking about 24-hour person. So please understand that. Okay. A person who neither rejoices, this is 20th one, a person who neither rejoices upon achieving something pleasant nor laments upon obtaining something unpleasant, who is self-intelligent, who is unbewildered, and who knows the signs of God, that is brahma-vid. So who knows the signs of God, or the absolute truth, basically, is already situated in transcendence. And what we could have added there is already situated in transcendence even while in the material world. That's the meaning. So that is one point to be noted from 20th. 21st. Brahmasparshe swa asaktatma vindati atmani yat sukham sa brahma yoga yuktatma sukham akshayam ashnute. So such a liberated person is not attracted to material sense pleasure, but is always in trance, enjoying the pleasure within. In this way, the self-realized person enjoys unlimited happiness, for he concentrates on the Supreme. So a couple of important points is he is Brahma Yoga Yuktatma. So you can see that in the third line, Sa Brahma Yoga Yuktatma. He's always absorbed in Brahman. And what happens is that, not that at that point he is artificially curbing the sense desires, the sense gratification. I want to watch this Netflix or that Netflix or this or that. He has lost taste for it, completely lost taste. Bahya sparsheshu asakta. Asakta means attached. Asakta means completely detached. So bahya sparsheshu, anything, all these external objects of enjoyment, sparsheshu means which come in contact with our material senses. So bahya sparsheshu asakta atma. He is completely detached from all these external objects of pleasure, so-called pleasure. Sukham akshayam ashnute, and he enjoys eternal akshaya. Kshaya means which can be destroyed. Kshaya. Akshaya means which cannot be destroyed. and therefore it means unlimited or eternal or always, never ending. So he enjoys. Ashnute means to enjoy. Sukham akshayam ashnute. He enjoys this eternal happiness within, not out of these external objects like movie shows or whatever, various, so many other objects of one's enjoyment. And then why? Because he knows the perils. Ye hi samsparshaja bhoga dukkha yonaya evate adyantavantah kaunteya nateshu ramate buddha. Very important. Adya antavantah kaunteya. He knows that all these pleasures have a beginning, adya and anta, that they will come to an end. Okay. One day, the children that you love so much and you spend so much time on, they will leave you. So, okay, you must love them. It's not like you treat them like a stranger, but don't invest so much in that thing that once the day comes that they leave. You also left your parents one day. Okay. It's natural process, but some people get devastated. That is because of that some imaginary conception that this will never happen. It is permanent relationship. I am the one who will have the permanent relationship. So it is, they know adya antavantah. They know everything has a beginning and an end. So therefore it's not like one should throw it away. I mean, one should throw away some things like social media or all time wasting things. But some things you don't throw away, like relationships we discussed earlier. But you don't also assign over extra attachment to it or importance to it, that you completely are devastated if something happens in that relationship. So the most attachment or the most investment therefore should be in the spiritual entity, which is Bhagwan, and that will never leave, never. So that is where all the investment should be. Like you should invest your money in they say in safe, what you call safe mutual funds, not the mutual funds which will crash or which will whatever go bankrupt. So our investment of our consciousness should be in Bhagwan. That Bhagwan will never deceive us. All the other relationships have a possibility of going bankrupt. So one should be clear that yes, this is a risky investment and this is a safe investment. And unlike the material world, this safe investment also provides the highest return. In material world, we have high risk. What do we say? High risk, high gain. If you want more return, you have to take more risk. The spiritual investment is low risk, high gain. There is nothing in the material world which meets that criteria, which is low risk, high gain. Either it is low risk, low gain, or high risk, high gain. Spiritual investment is low risk, high gain, or zero risk, highest, maximum, infinite gain, actually. So it's like that. So one realizes that adyantavantah kaunteya. So an intelligent person does not take part in the sources of misery, which are due to contact with the material senses. O son of Kunti, such pleasures have a beginning and an end, and so the wise man does not delight in them. Okay, 23 is highlighting that point which I had said earlier, which is that prāk śarīra-vimokṣaṇāt. So shaknoti ihaiva yah sodhum. So this is also ihaiva, is also referring to in this material body. Prāk śarīra-vimokṣaṇāt kama krodha odbhavam vegam sayuktah sa sukhi naraha. So before giving up this present body, if one is able to tolerate the urges, the vegam of what? Kama, krodha, etc. So tolerate the urges of the material senses, and check the forces of desire and anger, he is well situated and happy in this world. Sa yuktaha, sa sukhi naraha. So that is the meaning. Okay. So there is some tolerance, some toleration. What is that a right word? Toleration? No, tolerance. Some tolerance is needed. So that is like saying that you are a innocent person who happened to land up in the jail. Okay, fine. Whatever happened, happened. I am here. So some tolerance. Okay, I will eat the jail food. No problem. But in my mind, I am 100% clear that I am completely living as if I am a free person. There may be bounds on your freedom, just like in the material world, there are bounds on the freedom, but internally one is living completely with a free consciousness. That is what is called internal happiness. Sa yukta, sa sukhi naraha. One who is engaged in this way is completely happy. Okay, so that is the symptoms of a jivan mukta, one who is present in this material world. So one can attain that state. Okay, even you do not have to go to the spiritual world to be liberated. The good news is you can be liberated even while in the material world. How nice is that? For many people, for me at least, when I learned this first time, it was a new concept. That you can be not very happy, but as happy as a liberated person, even when you are not technically liberated. So it's a very nice thought, or a very nice goal to want to achieve. Okay. So in a future textbook that we will read, Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu, Sri Rupa Goswami has given a definition of a jivan mukta, and he says this: Iha yasya harer dasya. Now this is a bhakti definition of jivan mukta. Iha, so you will say, again see here the use of the word iha yasya, means here. Iha means here, which means material world. Harer dasye, one who is a das, or a servant, or a servitor of the Supreme Lord Hari. Karmana manasa gira, and there are three things: actions, karmana, mana means mind, and gira means voice. Giritam manasadriyeta. So there is this verse, right? So gira means to speak from the tongue. So again, this is the BMW: body, mind, and words. So through one is doing dasya, or serving the Lord, through BMW, through body, mind, and words, even while he is in this world. And how many hours? 6 hours per day? No. Always nikhilasva aspya avasthasu. Always. And it's not like you're constantly serving 24 hours and you're like about to die and fall down. No, the avastha is that if called upon, the mental situation is that I am a servitor of the Lord. That mental situation is 24/7. Okay, unlike a paid employee, I am an employee from 8 to 5, and my official phone, which my office has given, I switch off at 5 o'clock. I am no longer an employee after 5 p.m. and on weekends. That is not the case. The phone is always on. Okay, just like, I don't know, some other profession, doctor profession or whatever, on call. You are 24/7. I have seen there is one very advanced doctor in our sangha. We have a lot of fun. He comes to parties and sangha even when he is on call. It does not mean that on call means you are like working like a dog. It means you are available to serve at a moment's notice. So such a person has a direct connection with Krishna, and he's ready and willing and able to and completely wanting to serve as soon as he is called. That is the avastha. The avastha is that I am a Hari Das, that I am a Das of Hari, and whatever is needed, I will do through my body, mind, or words, anytime when called. So when one is in that consciousness or in that avastha, all the time, nikhilasva. Nikhilasva, nikhil means all the time. Then such a person is called jivan mukta sa uchyate. Such a person is called as a jivan mukta. So one who considers himself as a 24/7, 365 days a year servant of the Lord is a jivan mukta. And this is the bhakti definition of jivan mukta. Yes, Rajvidya Prabhu.
Prabhuji, what's the difference between sthita prajna and jivan mukta?
No difference. I mean, their jivan mukta is, so you are saying sthita prajna from the 2nd chapter, 54th verse. That is what
Yes.
where the sthita prajna came, 2.54.
Yes, Prabhuji.
And yeah, so there is sthita prajna, jivan mukta, again, no difference.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
2nd chapter is a summary of Bhagavad Gita. So there it was being described a completely self-realized person. Arjun was asking, how does he sit? How does he walk? Kim prabhashyate? Kim, how does he sit? How does he walk? How does he speak? All that. And that's where the sthita prajna was coming. So it was still talking about such a person who has the limbs, has bodily limbs, which means he is present in the material world, but he is completely self-realized. He does not associate himself with or identify himself with the body. He identifies himself with Brahman or Bhagwan as a Das of Bhagwan, etc. in his consciousness. Okay. Okay. Now 25 onwards. So yeah, coming back to 18, very important verse. So we were discussing the qualities or the characteristic symptoms of a Brahma-sthita or a sthita prajna person. And this is a verse to be memorized. Very nice verse. Vidya vinaya sampanne brahmane gavihastini shuni chaiva swapake cha pandita samadarshinaha. So this person, Brahmasthita person, is called as Pandita in this verse. And what he does is Samadarshinaha. He sees everybody as equal. He doesn't discriminate. You are good, you are bad. So basically the same thing. He has risen above the dualities. So so I'll come to the first line later. Brahmane Gavi Hastini. So a Brahman, so you can see in this picture, all these are depicted. So here you see this person who is the Brahmasthita. And here he sees a Brahmana. Gavi means cow. Hastini means a elephant or a female elephant. And Tuni means a dog, and Shwapak means one who eats a dog. He is considered a dog eater is considered one of the lowest persons in the society. So that is kind of shown somewhere also. Maybe this other guy who is near the elephant, maybe he's the dog eater or whatever. Panditaha samadarshinaha. A pandit looks as all of them as children of God. There is no difference between elephant and cow and dog and any of these people. And why is that? Because he's sampanna. Sampanna means full of. जैसे कहते हैं ना धन संपन्न भव, means may you be full of wealth. So sampanna means to be full of something. What is this guy full of? Vidya vinaya. Knowledge, and vinaya means humility. So knowledge itself can make one proud. But a true Brahmasthita person is not proud of his knowledge. He is extremely humble as well. So knowledge and humility is a very, very, very deadly combination. Deadly in the sense not in a bad way, but in a very good way. So such a person is a Pandita, and he sees everybody with equal vision. So this verse is to be memorized for the Bhakti Shastri. So I think so. You need to memorize that. Somebody is not muted, so kindly mute if you're not. Now, jivan mukta, or the yet to be enlightened, or whatever, before death stage was discussed so far. Now in these three verses, 24, 25, 26, Lord Krishna is describing the after death. And you will see some of the same characteristics. Then you will think it is a repetition. It is not a repetition. Lord Krishna is trying to say that there is no difference.
It's upside down, man. Oh my God. Okay. Sorry for that.
So, Lord Krishna is trying to say that both are the same actually. The characteristics are the same. The only difference is one was while you are in the material world, and one is after you have exited out of the material world and gone into the spiritual world. So that is the only difference. Otherwise, the characteristics you will see are the same, and that's the main point, that they are the same. There is no difference. So 24. In interest of time, I will read the English only. One whose happiness is within. Okay, I mean, these verses are so beautiful. I just want to read the Sanskrit. Yo antah sukho antaramas tatha antar jyotirevayah sa yogi brahma nirvanam brahma bhuto adhigacchati. Adhigacchati means pahuch gaya. He has reached. So brahma nirvana. So brahma sthitha was the word used, and gacchanti, now it is brahma nirvana adhigacchati, which means he has attained the state of brahma nirvana. So that line is important. Sa yogi, such a yogi. What kind of yogi? Yo anta sukho anta aramas, who is basically internal. He is focused internally. He is experiencing the bliss internally. Tatha anta jyotirevaya, and he is inward focused. So one whose happiness is within, who is active and rejoices within, and whose aim is inward, is actually the perfect mystic. He is liberated in the supreme, and ultimately he attains the supreme. Adhigacchati. Next, 25. Labhante brahma nirvanam. Labhante. Labhante means to get it. Okay, not about to get it or yet to get it, but get it. Labhante brahma nirvanam. Rishayah kshina kalmashah. Chinna dvaidha yatatmanah. Sarvabhuta hite ratah. Those who are beyond the dualities that arise from doubts, whose minds are engaged within, who are always busy working for the welfare of all living beings. Sarva bhuta hite ratah, that they are very affectionate towards all living entities, and who are free from all sins, achieve the liberation in supreme. Labhante brahma nirvanam. 26. Kama krodha vimuktanam yatinam yatchetasam abhito brahma nirvanam vartate viditatmanam. So again, brahma nirvanam. So all three verses are having brahma nirvanam. So those who are freed from anger and all material desires, who are self-realized, self-disciplined, and constantly endeavoring for perfection, are assured of this liberation in the supreme in the very near future. So this brahma nirvana is not like once you are a brahma sthita, it will take long time to get brahma nirvana. Lord Krishna is saying that very soon. And how soon? Right after death. So very soon means for a person, when he is in the material body, after death, he will attain brahma nirvana. So abhito brahma nirvanam vartate viditatmanah. So that is the enlightened or the brahma nirvana state. So this brahma nirvana is a very commonly used word, and here it is being described that this is the state of having attained brahman perfection. Then 27 and 28 are very eye-opening verses. So here we will see that this is the end state. What happens, what is the state of this person, this jnani, at the time of death, or before the time of death, or towards his stage of perfection. And here what is being described is the state of samadhi, that state of complete, at this point he is a complete karma sannyas, which means he's not performing any action. If you remember in the 5.7 and 8 verses, 7 and 8 or 8 or 9, all those actions were given, which anybody, even a karma sannyasi, 8 and 9, like blinking your eyes, breathing, what else, eating, all these things were mentioned, and it was said that even those count as activities. So how can you even do karma sannyas? But in the end state of a jnana yogi, he actually attains the state where he is not even doing any action. The body is as good as dead. You can say that even medically, if you examine such a person, the doctors would declare him dead. Even the heartbeat would have stopped. But the consciousness is still there. He's still alive. Doctor may declare him dead, and they may, cremate the body or bury the body, but he has not died. So, this is like in the story of Haridas Thakur in Chaitanya Charitamrit. He was a great devotee, but the king was a evil person, so he sent his soldiers to kill him by beating. So they were beating him, but he was such a great devotee, he was not feeling any beating, and he wouldn't die. And the soldiers said, can you please die? Because if you don't die, the king will kill us, that we couldn't kill you. So can you please die? He said, okay, fine. For your pleasure, I will die. He went into a state of samadhi. They checked his pulse, everything. He was dead. They threw him into the river, and they reported back to the king that Haridas Thakur is dead. And then his body was flowing in the river, and then after some time he regained his consciousness, and he continued to live. So just a saying, Haridas Thakur is a great devotee. He's known as Namacharya. Anyway, but the point is that this state, and again he's a devotee, so even a devotee can attain this state, not just a jnani, but this is the state of complete cessation of all what you can say, sign of life, all activity. So it's already 7:51. Let me just end. The last verse is very important, so I'll just read the English. Shutting out all external sense objects, keeping the eyes and vision concentrated between the two eyebrows, suspending the inward and outward breath within the nostril. So, which means that no inward and outward, both are suspended. So breathing has stopped. And thus controlling the mind, senses, and intelligence, the transcendentalist aiming at liberation becomes free from desire, fear, and anger. One who is always in this state is certainly liberated. So one who is always in this state, sada mukta eva saha. So obviously it is very easy to be in this state when you don't have a material body. But when you also have a material body, then it is very, very difficult to attain. But you can see, so how many even, so a bhakta, in bhakti yoga, you don't have to attain this state. In bhakti yoga, you can still be breathing, but still be in a completely liberated state. The mind, the only thing is mind is focused on Krishna. That's all. You can be breathing, you can eat, you can do whatever. There is no problem, just that the mind is focused on Krishna. That's all. So this is the end state of a jnana yogi who is not focusing on Bhagwan, but only on Brahman. So he has to go through this very difficult situation. And Lord Krishna will say later that this is very, very difficult process, and a much easier process and a better process is bhakti. In 12th chapter, he will say that. So you can experience it here just by the meaning of the verse, how difficult it is. How many of you can stop your breathing? It's not possible to stop your breathing for more than 1-2 minutes, whatever. I think the world record is what? Some divers, people who dive without, it's called what? Diving? Like that, free diving, or like that, free climbing without ropes, mountain climbing without ropes. Similarly, diving without a oxygen cylinder is called free diving. So how long you can stay in water? And world record is, I think, whatever, 10, 20, 10, 15 minutes or whatever. Anyway, so the point is that it is not possible to stay in this state, but through Jnana Yoga, it is possible to stay in this state for days and months and stay in samadhi like this. But it is extremely, extremely rare. Okay, last verse. This is also to be memorized. So very, very important verse. Now Lord Krishna is saying that ultimately what you should focus on is bhakti. Or not, bhakti word is not used here, but he is saying what you should focus on is me, not Brahman. So he has been using that focus on Brahman. Brahman has been used at least 50 times in this chapter, if you count, I don't know, 40, 50 times. First time he's saying you should forget focusing on Brahman, focus on me, and that makes the process bhakti. The only difference between Jnana Yoga and Bhakti Yoga, or Jnana Marg and Bhakti Marg, is the point of focus. The point of focus is no longer Brahman, the point of focus is Bhagwan. And that is what this verse is. So he's saying that you should first realize that I am all these things. What? Bhoktaram yagya tapasam. Whatever yagya you are doing, I am the receiver. You are doing some yagya, like sacrifice. Parents sacrifice for their child, or whatever. Some husband sacrifices for the wife. Wife sacrifices for the husband. There's that famous story, right? Gift of the Magi by O. Henry. The wife sacrificed for the husband, husband sacrificed. So you sacrifice for someone, right? There is a receiver, or there is someone you are trying to make happy or please through your sacrifice. So Lord Krishna is saying, I am ultimately, you may think whoever is the receiver, but in reality, I am the receiver. Everything else is just a conduit. I am the ultimate receiver of all yagya and tapasa. Any yagya or tapas you are doing, I am the receiver of those. Better do it directly for me instead of through a conduit. So bhoktaram yagya tapasam sarva loka maheshwaram. I am the supreme lord of all the lokas. Lord Krishna is directly saying, I am God. Many people ask the question, where he says I am God. There are at least 5 places in Bhagavad Gita where he is saying I am God. This is one of them. They don't read, and they just say with so much confidence as if they have read. Then those who have actually read can easily, call their bluff. So, Sarva Loka Maheshwaram. I am the Maheshwara, Maha Ishwara, the Supreme Lord of all the lokas. All the lokas. Sarva Loka. There is no exceptions here. And Suhridam Sarva Bhutanam. I am the well-wisher or the friend. I am the one who cares for. Suhridam. I care for you. I have good intention for you. I will always want to do good for you. Even if I chastise you, it will be for your good. Just like a parent. Sometimes parents chastise the child. If he is eating too much candy or is spending too much time on the phone, he's going to get a little bit of rough treatment from the parent. But the parent does not, even when he is, being harsh with the child, in his heart, he has the well-wishing of the child in his heart. So that is Suhridam Sarva Bhutanam Gyatva Mam. One who knows that I am all these three. Gyatva means one who knows, because we are talking about Jnana. So this is Jnana. This is the ultimate Jnana. that whatever yajna I am doing, tapa I am doing, Krishna is the receiver. Krishna, one may think that the superpower of the whole universe is this Brahman, but actually it is Krishna who is the superpower. And one may think that, my happiness or whatever comes from somewhere else, but the real source of my happiness is to be with Krishna, Suhridam, to be with my friend Krishna. Suhridam sarva bhutanam. Gyatva mam, who knows that I am this, attains the highest peace. Shantim rachati. This whole chapter has been about attaining that supreme peace. Brahma nirvana is that highest peace. He's saying that that same peace can be attained by simply knowing that Krishna or me, Mam, Krishna is speaking Bhagavad Gita, Mam, I am all of these things. So just focus on me will be the focus of the rest of the Bhagavad Gita. Okay, so that is the end of chapter 5. Okay, we'll continue here from next time. Okay, any comments, questions? We're right on time, 7:59. Okay, no comments, questions, that's fine. We will have Sunday class this time. So for Bhakti Shastri students only. So yeah, we do some more group discussion and things like that. So for those who are enrolled in Bhakti Shastri, those of you who don't know what is Bhakti Shastri, it is a more deeper level course on 4 books. Bhagavad Gita is one of them. And then there are 3 other books, and there are homeworks and tests and group discussions and so many other things to get deeper mastery on these Bhakti books. Bhagavad Gita, Shri Ishopanishad, Upadeshamrit, and Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu. Okay. Last and final, any comments, questions? Okay. Thank you very much. We'll see you, I don't know when, maybe next Sunday. I don't think there's anything going on, but pay attention to the announcements and yeah, we will keep in touch. Thank you so much. Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada.
Yeah.
Thank you so much,
Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Okay.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Okay.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. I'll close the call. One sec.